Hi friends, welcome to Love Good Kitchen. My name is Matthew. Thanks for being here. I'm so glad you're joining me. Today we are going to be doing another test kitchen type recipe. I have not made this before. It is called blueberry cloud pie, and I told my husband that it's either going to be tasty and fun, or it's going to be fun and disgusting. I'm not sure which way it's going to go, but either way, hi Rams, we have a visitor. So I tore this recipe out of a magazine, and it's been in my pile of recipes to try. And I just realized as I was getting ready for today that it's cut off. I don't have the second half, but not to worry, I found it online, so we know what to do. To get started, I have in a bowl, a large bowl, 1 3-ounce package of berry blue jello. So that's what I have in here. And to it, we're going to add half a cup of boiling water and half a cup of cold water. Now, that is not according to the package directions. We've reduced the liquid a little bit because we're going to be mixing it with other ingredients in a recipe here. And I mentioned in a recent video that I loved my electric kettle, tea kettle that I got at Aldi, but I'm actually not using that because for today, because there is a minimum amount of liquid that you can put in the electric kettle, and half a cup doesn't cut it. So I'm just going to be doing it in the microwave real quick. So I need half a cup of boiling water. I'll be right back. Okay, so we're back. I've got my half a cup of boiling water. I'm going to add that to the berry blue gelatin and start to give that a stir. We don't have to go nuts, but you do want it dissolved so that you don't see a bunch of the gelatin granules hanging out there. Stirring, stirring, stirring. And then once this is dissolved, we're going to add half a cup of cold water. It's almost ready. We're going to add the half a cup of cold water, and then it needs to sit in the refrigerator for about an hour so that it's not fully set, but it's on its way, because we want it a little bit more congealed before we add some of the other ingredients to make our pie filling, because it is a pie. Okay. I think that looks good. So now we've got half a cup of cold water. Isn't this funny? It's like a old tin cup measuring cup, and it's kind of dented and bent. I don't remember where I found this, some antique shop or thrift store, but I love it. I use it all the time. I don't put that in the microwave, by the way, because it is metal, and hashtag sparks and fire. Okay, so we're going to stir this up. I think I've said this before in videos. I recommend stirring your gelatin with a spoon or similar utensil rather than a whisk, because I feel that when you use a whisk, you get lots of bubbles, and the bubbles don't always go away, but when you're setting the jello or the recipe, whatever it is, so I recommend just doing it with a spoon. Okay, that should do it. I'm going to put this into the refrigerator, and we'll be right back so that we can start to make the crust of our blueberry cloud pie. Okay, now the crust to our blueberry cloud pie is actually not a pastry crust at all. It's also not graham crackers or a chocolate cookie crumb crust. It is essentially a Rice Krispie treat crust. So I've got a saucepan here, and we're going to try, helps if you turn it on. There we go. We're going to try medium to medium low heat and see how that does. I have 3 tablespoons of butter that I've chopped up into little cubes. We're going to put that into our pot. And we're also going to add 1 1/4 cups of the small marshmallows. That was 1 cup. There's 1/4 cup. So we're going to let the butter melt and the marshmallows melt and get those combined. It's very similar to when you make Rice Krispie treats. But we let that come together and get melty. Then we'll add our Rice Krispies. These are actually, I think it's called crisped rice, store brand from where else? Aldi, my favorite store that we'll be using. While we're waiting on that, let's talk about some of the other ingredients that we need that are coming up a little bit later. I have 1 2/3 cup, approximately, of blueberries, fresh blueberries. And we have 5 tablespoons of powdered sugar, also called confectioner's sugar. Or if any of you ever watch Paula Deen do her recipes on her YouTube channel, she says confectionate sugar. Is that like affectionate sugar? I don't know. We already used it's a 3-ounce box, the small box of the berry blue jello that we dissolved with the 1/2 cup of boiling water and 1/2 cup of cold water. I'm going to turn this around this way. Okay, we're already starting to melt, so that's a good sign. And once this is melted and combined, I'm going to be using my glass Pyrex pie plate. We don't need to grease the pie plate because of what's happening with the Rice Krispie treat crust, but that's what we will be using for our container, our pie container. And then I have the stand mixer out because we are going to be using, with the 5 tablespoons of powdered sugar, we are going to be whipping some cream. It's 2 cups of heavy whipping cream, and you want that to be cold. Now, normally when you're making whipped cream, you'd want to chill your bowl, put it in the freezer for a while before you do this. Oftentimes even the whisk or the beater or the blades, what are they called, to your hand mixer, because it'll go faster. Your cream will whip faster when you do that. But for this recipe, you only need soft peaks or like pre-soft peaks. So it's not really necessary to chill the bowl for this one. Okay, it's looking good. Marshmallows are melting, and I'm just stirring it with my wooden spoon. Sorry if my friend Katie's watching. She has an aversion to wooden utensils. Freaks her out. But some things like this, like that are really sticky, I like to use the wooden. I think it just, I don't know, just kind of goes better. Or if you've ever made pastry puffs, like homemade eclairs, and like a, what's the name of that dough? It just left my head. But for that, you want to use a wooden spoon because you can kind of tell as the mixture coats the spoon or not whether you're at the right stage. Anyway, we're looking nice and melty, and I think now it is time to, I'm going to turn this down. It is time to add our crisped rice cereal. I don't think I told you how much of that we have. It's 2.5 cups of the Rice Krispies. Pour that in and stir it around. You want to get everything coated with that yummy marshmallow and butter mixture. Ooh! Yum! And just like with crispy treats that you would make like in bar form or whatnot. We don't have to bake this. We're gonna press it into the pie plate, and then you just let it sit, and then it'll harden. Okay. I'm going to get something to set this on because I'm actually going to take it off of our heat. That should be good. But now, of course, you don't want this to get... yes. You don't want to wait too long because it's going to be easier to form this into the pie plate when it's warm, right? Once it starts to cool down, it's going to be harder to do. I'm going to grab some. I think you could use butter on your hands to press this in. I think I'm going to use some shortening. You could probably spray your hands with nonstick cooking spray. I don't know. I haven't tried that particular one, but it seems like it could work. I'm going to use shortening today. And let me, here, I'll use this bowl. I'm going to put a bit into the bowl so that I don't have to be putting my crispy treat fingers into my into my shortening. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I'm just going to pour this in. And we want to bring it up the sides a little bit. And one thing that I may do, we'll see how OCD I want to get. I may use the bottom of a measuring cup to get the bottom pressed nice and flat. It's going good. I don't know. Here, let's slide this over. Maybe you can... There. You can see a little better. So I'm just using my greased fingers to push this in. And you do want to do it fairly firmly. Okay, we're just patting and pressing. Get some more shortening on my hands. Okay, it's looking good. Kind of patting the top so that it's even. You don't have to do that. It's just me. Again, my sort of OCD tendencies coming out because I want it to be nice and neat in the pie plate. Okay. So there we go. It's pressed into our pie plate. I'm going to wash off my hands. I will be right back. Okay, so we have our crisped rice cereal crust with the marshmallows and butter. It's looking great. Pressed into our pie plate. The gelatin is setting up, not all the way, but for about an hour-ish in the fridge so that it thickens. So we need to wait a little bit, and I'll bring you back. We will whip our cream and get everything assembled and finish up our pie. So I'll see you back in a little bit. So we're going to finish up our blueberry cloud pie, and it's been a little bit longer than an hour. I got distracted doing some other things. So our berry blue gelatin is a little bit more set than I would have liked, but it's still going to be fine. It's still stirrable. Certainly don't have to worry about it being thickened, but it's still going to be fine. So we don't have to worry about that. I have my stand mixer out, fitted with the whisk attachment. You don't have to use a stand mixer if you don't have one. You could use a whisk, a hand whisk. it's just going to take you a little longer to whip. So I have 2 cups of cold, heavy whipping cream we're going to pour into our bowl. Get it all in there. We don't want to waste any. Looks good. Put that in there. All right, we're going to close this and set it here. And then we're going to let this whip until soft. It's to the soft peak stage, maybe even a little under. If you don't know what I'm talking about with soft peaks, if you take the whisk or your beater or utensil out of the whipping cream, soft peak would be when you lift it out, it kind of starts to form a peak, like a little mountain, but then it falls back down. That's soft peak. Stiff peaks would be when you lift it out, it stays there. It doesn't fall down. Yes, you can beat whipping cream too much. I know from experience, it starts to get solidified into sort of a buttery thing, which is also not good. So we're not going to do that. We're just going to let it long enough until it's thickened and like pre-soft peak form. Okay. Okay, so this has thickened up and it's kind of pourable. Like when I move the bowl, it's sliding out, but it's definitely thickened. So I think we're at just the right stage. This is the point where we do want to add in our 5 tablespoons of powdered sugar. And we're just going to let this mix for just a little bit to get the sugar, powdered sugar, incorporated in there. And that's it. So here we go. Okay, that'll do it. I'm going to take our whisk attachment off here. And then we need to put about 3 cups of this into our gelatin there. So I'm going to just roughly measure it out here. This part doesn't have to be perfect. That's good. There's 1. We're going for 2. And there's 3. Scrape off the spatula a little bit. There is a little bit of the thickened whipped cream remaining in here, but we're going to save that because when you serve it up, slice it, delicious with a dollop of that on top for garnish. So I'll set this aside. And now I'm going to switch to, I'm going to need my rubber spatula back in a second, but I'm going to use my whisk and we're going to whisk this together. I'm sort of folding / whisking, but I want to get it all incorporated. So that's why I opted for the whisk, especially since my Jello mixture was slightly more congealed than I would have preferred, but it's going to turn out fine. There, that's enough with the whisk. Back to my flexible spatula. Just give it a few more turns here. Okay, that looks good. Now we're going to fold in the blueberries. And this was 1 2/3 cups. Put those in. just kind of fold it in. I kind of do like a figure 8 pattern, but you don't want to just whack away at it and stir, because then you might deflate your whipped cream and all of that you just worked so hard to get the air into. Okay, that looks good. And now we have our crisp rice crust, our Rice Krispies treat crust that's patted into the pan and cooled. And we're going to take our filling and we're going to add it in there. Now I think this is going to be pretty full, but let's see if we can get it in here. We're going to refrigerate this for a few hours once we get it in here. And I think that'd be really pretty if we can get it nice and domed. So I'm going to kind of smooth and spread. I do want to get it all the way to the edges here. There we go. So this needs to go into the refrigerator and sit for at least a few hours, if not longer. And then our pie filling, it will set up and be even more firm. And like I said, a little of the extra whipped cream, a dollop of that on top. And I think it's going to be delicious. Now, I'll let you know. Maybe I can do a little follow-up clip later on when we go to taste test. But I can give the filling a little taste here to see what we're in for. It's good. It's not overly sweet. I think with the berries, and once that sets up with the crispy crust, it's going to be really good. But I'll try to let you know. If you haven't already, like this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't. It's free, and that way you can keep up to date with us on the videos that we're putting out. So like I said, I'll try to do a little follow-up, but in case it doesn't get tagged on here, thanks so much for joining me today, and I hope to see you again soon here at Love Good Kitchen. Have a great day. We'll see you later. Bye.